Yeah.
Robert family, how's every single one of you today? Thank you so very much for being with us, like every other Friday. And look who's here. I
He's
see a, I
returned.
see a return.
John Paul Le.
Leegg. Jean-Paul Leegg is back. We're here to talk about a show that like always disappoints us. And man, every Friday I try to make it as positive as I can, and I keep failing.
Nope, there's no way. And
I
like
keep
it, this
failing.
the
I
thing.
keep failing. No, no, no,
It's
no.
not your it's not your fault. Believe me. But the one thing is like if you watch these shows and you didn't know the count like WWE calendar, you wouldn't know that the Royal Rumble was this Sunday.
Exactly.
No build.
Exactly.
There's no. Why don't we see guys like I said? You need not. Don't just copy the old school, but let's see these guys. Talking. Somebody interviewing them and say, if I win the Rumble, this is who I want to challenge because they can challenge anyone. They could challenge Lesnar. They can challenge the Fiend. It doesn't matter. They could say, well, why doesn't some guy on SmackDown say, I'm going to challenge Brock Lesnar because I don't want to fight the Fiend.
Even
Like
Jean-Paul.
some
They can even challenge for any title.
they
And
could
that's
challenge Nakamura, Andrade.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, those kind of things. Yeah, I miss that. Like you said, like for example, give me promos. Give me like, hey, if I would like make it prestigious. But if you give me the impression that the own superstars don't even care about winning the Royal Rumble, then no, I'm gonna care for who wins it.
Yeah.
So that's the idea that we get. So before we get into the show, SmackDown Live, like you guys know, every single Friday, we just want to say thank you to every single one that is watching our videos, like every other time. Thank you so very much. And for you, we already have on the page right now, fresh from the oven, and it's not roast beef or anything of that. Previews and predictions for the Royal Rumble. John Paul and I go almost an hour discussing like who do we think is gonna win, what matches are going to take place, and what outcomes are going to come out of that. So please check that out. It's on the channel. Also NXT, AEW Dynamite, Raw, and Jean Paul's Wrestling Hall, Canadian version. So guys, SmackDown once again. Jean Paul said it the best. Did we know that like the Royal Rumble is going to be on Sunday? I don't think so because of the quality of show that we had today. Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
let's go over it just because we love you all, and of course we're here, and we like unlike other members in the community, we review the whole show. We don't wait till 9:40 like some people like out there. So jump on something that a lot of people thought it was going to be in the main event, but actually happened to be the opening match and the opening segment of the show. The Usos, Roman Reigns versus King Corbin, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. Ooh, nice way
Now,
to get me excited.
Now, when the whole they were hyping this match, they're like, oh, it's of course King Corbin and all his goons. They were like, oh, they were insulting the bloodline and going because that's what they call this group. Like, was there any insult to Roman and the Usos' heritage in this, or did they just?
No,
So there was
no.
no like they were just like, oh, we just got out of the penitentiary, out of jail for freaking drinking and being idiots, and now we're just gonna come back here and I mean, if I was put in this feud, I would rather be in jail.
I know, I
Like
know.
this is ridiculous. Like who?
I will
Why
pick
do
up
we
better
see
feuds
this?
in jail.
Why do we see that? Okay, to see this match, whatever. Give it 15 minutes and done. This was a quarter of the show. This went for a half an hour.
Yes,
And now
yes.
some of the in-ring action wasn't bad, but the outcome was so predictable. You're watching this. Who's going to lose? You're really going to have Roman Reigns and the returning Usos lose? No. Why do we even need to see this? You know what the outcome's going to be. So
I
why
know.
drag it on for a half an hour?
And also, like they had to fake an injury
Mm-hmm.
on with Jimmy.
And that
We
was
thought
just
that
to
he was
get
possibly injuring. No,
and why was that? That's because they knew the fans were shitting on this, and they knew it was a cheap pop. It was a way to get them involved. Like, oh man, is he actually hurt? And then to see him come out, they thought the fans would go crazy, and I'm sure some of them did. And I'm sure Kevin Dunn, like I say every week, he probably takes the volume wheel, scrolls it all the way to the max, so it just sounds, and puts in his own claps and screams and cheers.
and
But
everything else. Yeah, just to make us believe that people are so into this when they're actually not. Like
mm-hmm.
I saw a picture, Jean Paul, like maybe like half hour before the show went on. Like I want to tell you, like 65% of the whole arena empty,
Yep.
empty. Because who wants to be for this show? Who wants to be there? And probably a lot of people that were there bought the whole package, the
Mm-hmm.
whole but tomorrow Worlds Collide, Royal Rumble, and Raw. So
Yeah.
probably,
And
and you can tell they weren't even there.
And see, that's the thing. Why couldn't you have and you could do this for Raw too, not just SmackDown, but have matches where it's like, and this is where you can kind of mesh guys. You can have somebody from Raw and SmackDown go against each other. You can kind of do the fantasy booking in that regard and be like, whoever wins this match will get like the number 30 spot or
Yeah,
something. And it's
yeah.
like, I know some people will shit on that idea because they always want the number 30 spot to be a surprise. But it's like, if it's going to be a surprise, normally nobody wins from number 30. Who's going
Yeah,
to be coming out at number 30? That's going to be a guy like Edge, someone who's older, who they're not going to have wrestle for a long time. And is Edge going to win the Royal Rumble? No. We all know who it's going to be. It's going to be the fucking Roman Reigns. So it doesn't matter who comes out at number 30 because whatever number Roman comes out, that's going to be the winner.
that's what the I hope not. I still have nightmares about it. I really think that like if they go with that route, I'm not happy at all. I think that
Mm-hmm.
already WrestleMania is going to be tainted. I think it puts a big asterisk in WrestleMania just
Yeah.
because having Roman win. A lot of reports are saying right now that John Cena might win it. He lives in Tampa. Vince McMahon gave creative a big storyline for them. He said start working with John. So maybe if Cena wins it, I wouldn't be as upset. Although I will be also like kind of like, come on, can you build somebody new? Like we said, maybe like Keith Lee, Matt Riddle. Give me
Mm-hmm.
something different. Give me a
Yeah. I
not
mean, if the story, like
surprise me.
to me, like John Cena is such a good promo that if he would win the Royal Rumble and the Fiend is still champion, then I would be invested in that just because I feel like John could work really good with the promos and everything with the Firefly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend as well. There's so much going on there, and like we talked about before, the WrestleMania 30, Cena went over when he shouldn't have. Now the Fiend can get his revenge.
Exactly.
So, like, that
Exactly.
would be a cool story. And even if Daniel Bryan would pull the upset, there's history between Cena and Bryan. If he
Yeah.
would challenge him or, challenge Brock, there's history between Cena and Brock as well.
Cena has like history with all of them, so it will be a
Exactly.
good idea to go with any of them. And I think that, like you said, it will be cool just because promo work. Cena is, such good in the mic. For example, remember 2 years ago with the Undertaker. Like
Mm-hmm.
the only reason that we kind of care about that feud it was because of Cena pulling all the work
Well, yeah,
because the
because The
Undertaker
Undertaker
never
never
showed
showed
up.
up.
Yeah,
And even with Roman Reigns, I think that was at like, No Mercy or some show
yeah,
like
no
that.
mercy. Yeah,
Which, again, that's the time where Cena should have went over, but
exactly. Yeah,
just
but of
because
course we have
he
an
was,
agenda
yeah.
over there that like somebody like, and we wouldn't call names, but like there's a whole group of people that absolutely love Roman Reigns, and for that reason he had to go over, and they didn't even go back to that feud because you could have pulled out maybe one or two more matches out of that,
Yeah, that's when
but
they
they
had,
didn't do
yeah,
it.
they did once and done, but
Once and
let's get through this dumpster fire of a show.
let's get through it because guys, we have a lot of content. Tomorrow we have NWA, tomorrow we have Worlds Collide, Royal Rumble. We're like fully loaded, and it's not a good pay-per-view from back in the day, which is we're full loaded with work, but we do it because we love you, and we will never stop. So referee is checking on Jimmy Uso because like we said, like there was like he fell on from he was on the apron and then he
Mhm.
fell onto like the man outside, and then it seems like he turned his like ankle or something like that. So he's checking on him, and then they take him. So the medical assistants
Well,
come
yeah,
out.
I was
They
gonna say,
take him.
yeah, when I think it was against Bobby Roode, and then he like flung him over the rope, and when he landed on the apron, he slipped, and he was kind of like holding himself there, and then Ziggler came over and like super kicked him or just shoved him
Yeah.
right into the ring post,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and then done.
And then he was like, and we were thinking it's done, and we thought that like, okay, it became of course like a 2-on-3. But what we were thinking, okay, finally the heels are gonna get the win, and hey, we want the heels. Is it bad that we want the heels to win that bad? So Roman jumped back on the apron and tagged in and started to rally. He hit a bunch of clotheslines on Bobby Roode, distracting the referee, so Corbin could land a poke to the eyes, and then Ziggler super kick him for the 2 count. Then Reigns continued to sell as this match reached out to the 30-minute in length. See, that's on my notes. And like
Hmm.
Jean Paul was saying, like this match was actually really, really long, surprising for this kind of matches. And then they tag in and out and continue laying into strikes. And then Rude tried to get the glorious DDT, but Roman rolling him up. And then of course he does the thing that like he lifts him up and he
Yeah,
does
like
the power bomb.
like the one arm power bomb.
What? Oh my God! Like, look at the power of Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Really, every single week. Okay, like
Yeah, the guy he has no offense. He has like 10 moves max. And it's just like he's so cringe. Like it's like, okay, dude, we know you're gonna kick out. We know. And then like when he does something, he's all like, "Ugh," and it's like we don't care.
And we don't care. Yes.
Like
So
nobody has any emotional investment in Roman Reigns. They
no.
did a little bit when he had his leukemia, and then they had to beat that into the ground. Be like, oh, he has leukemia. Feel bad for him. Feel bad for him. Feel bad for him. And it's like, well, he's acting in a movie with The Rock. He's doing physical activities, so like
So
he
he
can't.
seems to be fine.
Yeah, so he can't really be in that bad of a shape. So I don't understand why I should feel bad for him. Like, yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, it's not like he's laying in a hospital bed almost dying. It's like
Exactly.
he looks like he's having more fun than any of us. So, I don't know why I should feel bad, but and then
Yeah.
besides that, there's no emotional investment in this guy.
No, and no, there's not at all. So like, let's just go to the last moments of the match. Jimmy Uso eventually comes back. Like we see, like he's limping a little bit, but of course he's selling the injury because clearly he was not injured at all. And then Roman hits a super punch on Baron Corbin, and then he beat Corbin around the ringside area, and then threw him over the barricade. Then they fought into the crowd as Cole hide their false count anywhere at the Royal Rumble. See, they even did that thing. Nobody really cares, like you said. Pulling double duty. We don't need to see double duty. If they have the match at the Royal Rumble, they should not be competing
No,
in the 30
and that's the thing. If Roman wins, they're just going to be sucking him off even more because he's going to win that match against Corbin, or he's going to lose and get his ass beat. He'll come limping out to the ring, and he'll win. He'll probably eliminate Lesnar last. It'll probably come down to him and Lesnar, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, we've seen this matchup so many times."
Yeah.
And he'll eliminate Lesnar, and they'll be like, he fought through adversity. He, got beat by King Corbin and this and that,
and one more year,
and that will kill the entire show.
Yes, yes. So then Jimmy got to the top rope, and Ziggler got kicked out, and then jumped up into the offense table onto Ziggler. Then Jimmy hit the Uso splash for the win. Nobody really cares.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're supposed to care about the returning Usos, but they get thrown into this garbage storyline.
Moving along, Mr. Egg, Lacey Evans came out and she had a whole interview with Michael Cole talking about her family, and then she starts saying that her dad, he died due to addiction. Then she said that she doesn't mind what cards you are dealt with, but you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. She got really emotional and started to cry, and the crowd was like 100% behind her. It doesn't matter what you're going through because you can do it. She mentioned it being in the Marines and that leading her up to the WWE. She wants to be a leader that inspires people. If you keep pushing, you can accomplish your goal. You can show the world what you can go through, but she will continue to set the example, and she will become the new SmackDown champion. And then they brought it up again, the storyline with the daughter. She's like, oh, I feel really proud that she did this, that like she actually was like, not afraid of Sasha Banks. And then out of nowhere, Bayley comes out, and they start feuding. Do I really care for this? No. What about you?
No, I mean that's just. I feel the same. It's like, Lacey, at least in as a face, she's a little more tolerable, I guess. Or at least, like, I'm still not the biggest fan. And even trying to do these emotional heartstrings, pull like, oh, this happened. And it's like, yeah, that does suck. I'm sure that really happened. I'm sure it was hard growing up. But, there's lots of other people who deal with hardships. And if you look at her as a thing to inspire you to be better, then great. But, to me, if she wins the belt, like, what's she going to do? Like, where are you going to go? It doesn't matter who the champion is because this whole division is shit because they just don't know how to book anything. So to me, you might as well just have it on the more legit woman, which is Bayley. She's a more legit wrestler. And, like I said, if they give it to Lacey, what's going to happen? It's not going to change anything. It's not going to get more eyes on the product. People aren't going to be like, oh my God, Lacey Evans is the women's champion. I need to watch the show now. So, and like I said, you involve the daughter. They try to do all this stuff, and it's like, but why? Like, why was she even the number one contender to begin with? Because she came out and said you guys are bad role models and nasties or whatever the hell she said, and like there was like, why are you even the number one contender?
Yeah, I mean, like of course they went back to last week when she beat Bayley in a non-title match, but like we said, like I remember mentioning this in the review that we went back to the old ways that you had to pin the champion than to actually be the number one contender. It doesn't make any sense. So they keep like
because you shouldn't be fighting the champion
to
until
fight the champ.
yeah, until you're fighting for the championship.
Exactly. Like you shouldn't be pinning the champion to get a championship match. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. It doesn't go that way. But they kept dragging this whole backstage brawl. Then they had Carmella and Dana Brooke, and they were talking about the Royal Rumble. Carmella is saying, "Well, I was the first one that won the Money in the Bank. I won the Battle
With the
Royal
help
last year.
of
No,
no
yep.
chin, no chin James Ellsworth.
Oh
That's how
yeah,
she.
yeah.
That's how she won the Money in the
Pretty
Bank.
much. And then Dana Brooke is saying, well, the Royal Rumble is supposed to be every woman for, against each other. And, I might pull out the outset and could give us a surprise. Then we kept dragging the whole situation with Bayley. It was just terrible because they keep fighting. And then we go to the ring, actually. And then we get Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Supposedly, we're going to get that match against Fire and Desire. They give us a little bit of a promo, and then you could see there were technical difficulties why they had that, because they have the double screen, and the big screen was actually blurry.
Yeah.
Then they had the small screen that actually was clear. So I'm like, okay, even technical difficulties here. What's going on?
They must have been brawling so hard backstage they brawled into Kevin Dunn's van.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
His whatever with the switchboards and everything, and they were
yeah,
knocking
like
everything
the
around.
mother control,
Yeah.
control, whatever. And we didn't even get to see our guy.
No.
We didn't even get to see him. So that was like,
And we've been saying for weeks that's the only good thing about SmackDown.
it was, I
Besides
think that
the Fiend,
it was a
Fiend
big
and
bump.
Daniel Bryan, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bummer for everybody that is watching the show, and then everybody that is joining. This.
Yeah,
I don't want to call it a
give another
sacrifice.
shout out to Jeter. I know Jeter loves Otis, and and freaking he wasn't even on the show.
I know he wasn't even on the show, and then we get Fire and Desire, Sonya Deville, Mandy are talking about this, and Mandy is saying, "Well, I'm sorry that what happened last week," and they said, "Don't worry, this time it will just be you and me, and Otis will not be involved." Did we get a little bit of this match? Not at all, because they actually Lacey Evans and Bayley kept rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So they completely, they of course there was no disqualification and everything that led to anything. That led to absolutely.
Yeah, so like as soon as this thing starts, like we said, boom, they're in the ring fighting, and the match is done. Then the whole time, so then you have all these women fighting. And then did Dana Brooke and Carmella come out or no? I pretty much looked away.
No.
So it was just the 6 women.
It was just the 6 women. Yeah.
They had it, and they were just saying like, "Oh, this is a glimpse of what we'll see on Sunday." That was their Royal Rumble hype. That was it.
So that was that's how you get excited.
That was the extent of the Royal Rumble.
And you know what? It was like so bad, so poorly performed, because at some point during the brawl, right, you see Alexa Bliss. She gets right next to Nikki Cross, and I think she's about to throw a punch, and she's like, "You know what? Just come get next to me." It's like,
do you know what would have been cool? Because the rumor has it that there's going to be a lot of, at least on the women's side for the Royal Rumble, a lot of NXT influence. So like I said, and we'll probably see a Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, we'll probably see Mia Yim, we'll probably see these women that are soon going to be called up to the main roster. Io Shirai, unless she leaves, but like a lot of these women are probably soon going to get called up. So we will see them in the Rumble. Why couldn't you have something where this tag match is happening and you have some women from NXT UK and some women from normal NXT, because they said there's going to be both in the Rumble? Why couldn't they have interrupted this match, got on the mic and said, blah, 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 like we're, more legit than all 4 of you women in here, and, come at this Royal Rumble on Sunday, we're going to throw all you over the rope, cut some promo on them.
Exactly.
And then it's because if you're going to just end it in a DQ, at least end it in a DQ, and then Michael Cole and Corey Graves could be like, oh my God, like, then that would be more hype for me to be like, oh, this is what we'll see at the Rumble.
It would have been a lot.
Because are we going to see Bayley? Are we going to see Bayley and Lacey Evans in the Women's Royal Rumble match? Probably not, because they have their own title match.
Yeah.
So how is this a glimpse of what we're going to see at the Rumble? These two of the women, 33% of the women in the ring, aren't even going to be in the match.
This only translates into laziness, lack of creativity, boring. It's like, okay, instead of getting as excited, it's just let's put whatever out just so we can get over with the show.
Exactly.
It's like we have 3 more days of work. How about we just just get this out of the way quick? It's like just focus on Sunday. That's what they're probably thinking, and you can tell. You can tell in like even like the wrestlers like performance, the demeanor is just like it's just SmackDown. Nobody watches. It's like they even know that nobody watches. So
I mean, this was reported a long time ago, but the backstage morale after SmackDown went to Fox for a couple weeks was lower than when they moved because everyone was excited. They thought, oh, now we'll be presented in a legit way. It'll be more sports oriented. No, the show's even worse. Raw is better. Even
yeah,
with Bobby Lashley and Lana, Raw is still better than SmackDown.
and that's harsh but true. That is sad but
The only
true.
good thing about SmackDown is it's 2 hours instead of three.
Is the only difference, but like sometimes, but see the fact that like sometimes 3 hours with Lashley and Lana being in the main event, and for the 2 hours not being able to be better, that's telling you something right there.
Exactly.
That's telling you something, and we can feel it. We can feel it. The energy is not the same. The wrestlers are not doing a great job into getting us to watch more. But
And I'm sure it has something to do with Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin being the main subject of the entire SmackDown since they moved to Fox.
how do you feel if I'm like Ali? How do you feel if I'm Gable? How do you feel if
Mhm.
I'm Sheamus? And I'm like, oh, I come
Cesaro,
back,
Sami Zayn, Nakamura,
yeah,
all those guys.
all the guys.
Nakamura is a champion. He should be higher on the show's priority than Roman Reigns.
Exactly. Like, he has gold. Roman doesn't have gold.
Yeah.
What are we saying here? And
Who has
talking
the tag
about
belts? The New Day? I haven't. Why don't they come out wearing the belts?
why don't they book the match that we said? It should have been Morrison and The Miz going against the New Day, but they didn't even do that. So
Hmm.
well, let's go. But let's backtrack a little bit. And you mentioned Sami Zayn, Nakamura, and they actually had a segment and a tag match with Braun Strowman and Elias against Nakamura and Cesaro. This match was pretty quick. Then we're just going to take you to some the last sequence of the match. Elias was trying to fight his way off the heels of the corner, but it wasn't working. Zayn hyped the team, but Nakamura stopped him from getting into Braun. Then Strowman was knocked up to the apron. Nakamura nailed a kick to the head, and he finally tagged Braun. Of course, Strowman gets the tag, and he starts doing this thing around the ring, the same like every other week. One thing that I did like is when Elias was on the ropes, and then he started walking on the ropes, and then he did like the Meteora,
Uh
like, and
huh.
then Michael Cole was like, "Oh, that looks familiar." Of course, he's doing Undertaker, like really.
Yeah.
So we don't know who does that. So that's just for that. And the last sequence of the match, like I said, Braun gets like the hot tag. He starts like doing his thing. Of course, like shoulder tackles and all of that nonsense. And
Because he
then
doesn't know how to wrestle.
yeah, because and then we don't even care. The one thing at least I say Elias had a match. He's
Yeah.
not
At least we
a
got to see him
glorified
wrestle.
wrestler anymore. But then he was on Cesaro and then he did a power slam because you can see Cesaro was asking Sami Zayn for help. He's like, help me out, distract somebody. And Nakamura was about to grab the title and use it, but then Elias stopped him from that. And then he kicked Nakamura onto the ring post, and
Hmm.
then you could see Cesaro was trying to help Nakamura, but then Elias hit Cesaro with a punch, and then he goes into Braun Strowman for the power slam, and then Elias actually tries to emulate Macho Man Randy Savage. God knows why, but he did the flying elbow and he gets the win. Do we
I,
care about this? No.
no. The only thing that is good to come from this is Nakamura didn't eat the pin because if Nakamura got pinned, tomorrow they would have announced that this match was taking place at the Rumble.
You're right. You're
So,
right.
like I
How
said,
do you
hope.
feel about, Cesaro is so legit? Match with Dragunov,
Mhm.
NXT TakeOver Cardiff. We're like, oh, Cesaro deserves so much better. Give Cesaro a
He's one of
chance.
those guys. I don't know when his contract is up. I hope it's sooner than later, and I hope he goes, "Hey, I've been with WWE for how many years? I hope he made his money, and I'd love to see him go to like an NWA, AEW, wherever. Just get out of here and go to a place that's gonna appreciate you.
That
Even a
you
Ring
will.
of Honor, an Impact, literally anywhere that will let him,
And
shine."
go fight, in the local, in your local city, just in the firehouse.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he could get something better than that, but I mean, he would
But
be,
like
yeah,
at least you will be main event.
yeah.
Okay, go in your household, and then
Hmm.
you'll probably will be main event with your wife,
Hmm.
because you know what I mean. Like he is such a talented man, and he always is in the pin. He won many tag team championships with Sheamus, the
Yeah,
Bar.
I think they were five time,
Like
five time, five
this
time.
guy has pulled like one of the best. Like when he does the Cesaro swing onto like the heaviest guys in the roster.
Hmm.
His moveset is good. Why does he have to go through all this nonsense? And it doesn't make any sense to me. I would like to see him doing something a little better if he is to stay in WWE. If
Yeah, I
not, the
mean,
Dark Order needs supporters.
and there's so many things we could do. Like you and I said that we'd love to see Sheamus win the IC belt. If they give it to Strowman, like Sheamus is a believable person because Sheamus is huge. He's a believable person to beat Braun Strowman. You could do a feud where you have then maybe you get the Bar back together because he's and then maybe they win the tag team belts too, and then they maybe lose the tag team belts or something, and then it's like then you have Cesaro and Sheamus feud over the IC belt, or you
And that
don't
would
even
be
need to
fine.
have them win. You don't even need to have them win the tag belts, but I think that would be cool because
That would be
they
cool.
could be holding the tag belts, and then in their middle hand they're holding the IC belt, and then maybe Sheamus pulls it away and is like, "Don't touch my belt," and
And
then
then
that
you see
kind of
you see teases of like a
yeah.
rivalry. You see like a little bit of jealousy going the one to the other,
Hmm.
and that will be something that it will be new to see that it hasn't been done in a long time. But you will appreciate that because it's two guys that we've seen as a tag team for the longest time, and we also see them fighting in the singles matches against each other. So we know that it will be a good rivalry, and that is something
Exactly.
that they should do. But of course, who are we?
That's an yeah.
What do we know?
Who is Jean Paul besides the expert booker? Who am I?
Exactly. Besides being better than Kevin Nash, okay. Anyway, going back, to the show, King Corbin was backstage and he's interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton is absolutely gorgeous. Just throwing that out there because at least the show shows me beautiful women because the wrestling itself was not good. But like she asked him if he's ready for the match with Roman Reigns. He says he's absolutely not concerned at all about their match with Roman on Sunday, and he claims that he's going to win the Royal Rumble and he will be the new WWE Universal Champion. I'm like, okay, well, we all can say whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
2020 is promising for any single one of us.
Yep.
Why not say that? If you and me, start winning something, we're just gonna point out at the sign,
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania, and then you and me will be in WrestleMania. So, do we care about this? No.
No.
Baron Corbin is a joke. We've said this several times. Portray the guy him better. Push him in a believable way, not in this crappy way of the King Corbin. But that's only us. Kofi Kingston versus John Morrison. Probably the best thing in the whole entire show.
You if like this is when you turn on SmackDown. You don't watch anything before it. When this match starts, that's when you turn off Fox. You watch
Yeah.
from here to the end of the show because everything before this was useless,
Yes.
absolutely useless.
Yes. That's why it only took us, like 20 minutes to talk about this because how useless it was.
Yep.
And 5 minutes was all intro. So, just for the
Mm-hmm.
guys to know, we are timing this here. So, The Miz made his way. He actually plugged in his reality show. Okay, you got to do that. You got to survive. You got to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
he
life.
did that, but to me that it also, I mean, it was corporate bullshit. Of course, the ratings are probably awful for that show. They're doing
They are.
anything they can,
They are.
but it's also like a heel move because now he's clearly a heel. He's coming out wearing the suit. He's all dressed up. He's not like before when he was a baby face and he'd come out just in his ring gear all the time.
Yes.
And so he's coming out and he's playing a heel. And why wouldn't a heel promote his own show? A
Yeah.
heel would want people, oh, watch me and my hot wife. You know what I mean? Like that's like to me, it was also a little bit of a heel move. So at this, while I was like you, and I'm like, really, like nobody cares about Miz and Mrs. But then I was like, I could see it because, like I said, he's a heel now. And
Yeah. And
but I
good.
mean, but am I gonna watch it? No.
No, exactly. No. Every time you like after Raw is on, and then that's when you change the channel.
Yep.
I don't care how hot Mariz is. She's with the Miz. She's not with me. Therefore, I don't care.
Mm.
So John Morrison comes out like legit. I enjoy how the slow motion and reminds me of good old John Morrison. So they officially enter the Royal Rumble. Like I said, to me, stupid decision. Why? You could have had a really good tag match with a New Day for the titles. There you go. A little bit of like I'm trying to get a little bit of your booking abilities.
Yeah.
So
And
allow me
and
to
also like
just book something.
that would be boom. That would be the perfect thing to do because, like we said, as good as the New Day is, who wants to see them as tag champs? Nobody. Like they're so stale.
Yes.
It's they're staler than the pancakes than Kofi slinging out of his trunks. You know what I mean? Like nobody cares.
Nobody.
So that's
Nobody.
why you got to give it to Miz and Morrison. Have them be the tag champs, and then
And they're heels, and they could do so much better with those titles. So Morrison and Kofi, they have a match, and I'm just gonna take you through like the last spots of the match. But was a really good match though. You
Yeah,
can
it
tell that
was.
Morrison
This
and
was
Kofi
yeah.
they still have chemistry with each other from the years prior, and just we're just gonna take you some quick spots right away because at some point I thought actually Kofi was gonna win, and I'm like, oh my god, really? You're gonna have Morrison losing his second week because he missed the Starship Pain, and then Kofi went for the apron. He hits the springboard chop and a drop kick. But Morrison came back with a kick, and he sent Kofi to the corner, and Kofi sent John into the corner and hit a double stomp to the chest for a 2 count. Then Morrison countered a Trouble in Paradise with a kick to the head for a 2 count. Eventually, Morrison took control and hit the Starship Pain for the win. Les also is notable to say that like the Miz was the one that got the Trouble in Paradise, and that distracted Big E and also like Kofi, and then that's when Morrison came back, hit the Starship Pain for the win.
Yeah, and like you said, like how athletic these guys are. Like early on, Morrison tried for a monkey flip on the Kofi, and Kofi landed on his feet, and then hit one of his own on Morrison. And when he did Morrison did the second rope Spanish fly. That was a really good spot. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
the guy still got it. Like, and that's why he's one of the things now. He's another bright spot on SmackDown. But how bright is he going to be? Because he's going to be outshined by Vince McMahon and his love for Roman Reigns.
exactly.
So
For
it's like it
example,
doesn't
see,
matter. You bring this guy in, and it's like, yeah, he's cool. Us real fans who can appreciate it will appreciate it. But the people who need to appreciate it, the ones writing the show and the ones with the almighty pen, they don't. They don't appreciate this guy.
exactly.
They sign him because they're like, well, we can put him with the Miz, I guess, and as long as he's not with AEW or anybody else, then we're
Then
good.
we're good. As long as he's under our umbrella, then
Hmm.
we will be fine because he's not going to be attracting some of our viewers to watch their other stuff. So that's the mentality that they have,
Exactly.
it
That's all
seems.
they care about.
Now, yeah, of course, it's like we don't want to be successful over there, although we don't want him to be successful here.
Hmm.
That's what it is. You don't let him eat, and you don't want him to eat anywhere else. So that's mentality from WWE. And like you said, I would love to see a feud between Roman and Morrison, but Morrison getting some wins. That would be legit, and that can put like maybe a title match at some point with the Fiend, which
Yeah,
will
but
be great.
yeah,
He
but that's the
deserves a
thing. You got to put. But can Roman? I don't know if he knows how to get pinned.
yeah,
So I don't. I wouldn't want like don't put him in a feud against Morrison. Morrison's just gonna lose.
yeah, I know. It's
And
like
if
how many?
Morrison gets beat by a guy nobody cares about, then Morrison's done.
Yeah,
Because no one's gonna be like, oh, we want to see that match again. We want to see Morrison get his revenge because he won't. And
yeah, pretty much.
that's what I mean. So he'll just be treated like a loser.
Exactly. So, main event time, Mr. Leek. Michael Cole had the Universal title match, and let's remember it's going to be a strap match, so something different at least. And then Daniel Bryan, your boy, comes out,
Hmm.
and then Bray Wyatt came out next. No, we get to see the thing in the Firefly Funhouse, and then you see that like he's trying to print the contract. He's having some difficulties with the printer, and then he's like, "Hold on, give me a second. Let me call, IT. How many times you and I have to go through
Hmm.
that crap and nobody ever respond?" So Daniel Bryan, he goes like, "Oh, cut the crap. I know that like you're. I know that you tried to sell this. That you're crazy. I don't really like you." Like he said that like I'm just tired of your crap. It's like
Yeah,
come
he told him
here,
just get down here, sign the
get
contract,
down
and
here and sign the contract. And then and then Wyatt goes that another thing that he's saying is that the Fiend is competing this Sunday, only fitting that he's signing the contract. Michael Cole started to get out of the ring, but the lights went down. And then boom, the Fiend is there, and he's holding the strap. Bryan went right after him, and the Fiend latched on the mandible claw into the corner. That's the one thing I don't like, Jean Paul, because right away, boom, and I'm done.
hmm
Then why do I want the guy to come out? If
yeah.
I'm gonna be crappy, then don't come out. The red light was on, of course. Then the Fiend nailed Sister Abigail. And then the Fiend appeared holding the strap. And then, like I said, then Bryan was trying to get up, trying to fight it back, but the Fiend hugging himself. And then the Fiend sat on the table, and then he signed the contract, but then he actually hurt himself, and he signed with his own blood. Something that like I think for the for like the casual fan or like for the PG-13 fan, it will be, oh my god, he signed with his own blood. But like for people like us that we've seen this for the longest time, I don't think it's such a big of a deal.
No, and that's like it fit the Fiend's character, so it wasn't like out of place or whatever. But you could have booked this so much better. You could add everything up to how it said, and I would have had it where he calls the Fiend down to the ring, and when the lights go off, instead of them just going back to the red light and the Fiend mandible claw and done, it should have been boom, and the pyro comes up from the four corners, and Kane should have somehow appeared in the ring too, and then the Fiend, he does the mandible claw into Kane, and it's like, oh, Kane was trying to help his buddy Daniel Bryan, and then Bryan can hit the knee on the Fiend. And then when he hits the knee, obviously he lets go of the mandible claw and he lays there, and then Bryan could just be staring at him, and then you have him just sit right up.
Yeah.
Like he just no-sells
like
the
no
knee.
sells it.
Yeah, he just no-sells the knee, and then it could be like, what's going on? And then, Kane could be out, but it's like, at least Bryan doesn't look like a complete loser getting like his shirt ripped and all this up like Sister Abigail. Then it's like, really? Because like I said, if in WWE land, the way that they work, Daniel Bryan should now win on Sunday.
Yes, because the Fiend has the upper hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. And like a lot of fans were yelling at him, you are sick. And then the Fiend, of course, like I said, he signed the contract like that. Then when the lights came back up, then Bryan was laying there, and there was the echo of the new shirt that he has, because like they're still trying to use this environmental gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a yes movement now, but in the trees and stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
It's environmental yes movement,
Mm-hmm.
and the show goes off the air.
And
For example, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I want to say, unrelated, but it's related to Daniel Bryan, how his hair and how he shaved his hair, shaved his beard. He's like the Ring of Honor American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And apparently Brie Bella was pissed that this happened. But the way that it was reported by Bryan in an interview or whatever, she was pissed at him. She was like, oh, I don't like how you look. And I'm like, let me just go off. What a fucking bitch. She's like, oh, I like the beard and the long hair. So she was pissed at him when he shaved it, or when he had this, this angle. And I guess the way it was reported, like I said, I don't know if this was an interview where he said this, but there was she didn't really say too much because she was upset, and they had a party the next day. They had guests over, family. So she wasn't being mean to him or whatever. She wasn't she had to be nice to him. She couldn't act like she was pissed. And then after a few days, she was like, I'm used to it, whatever. So you don't love the guy for who he is. You love him because of the. I'm like, what? I mean, I hated the Bellas to begin with. I'm not going to say what I want to have happen to them, but I could care less about them. And I'm like, really? That just makes me like you less. To me, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, she's only with him because he was popular, and she wants to boost her own stock. She wants to be like, oh, because Daniel Bryan, people like him way more than they like Brie Bella. Are you kidding me?
Probably, yeah. I don't.
And then when I heard that, I'm like, what a bitch. That's the only way I can describe that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why not be? Don't be okay. If you like him with the beard, that's fine. But don't be pissed at him. It's WWE.
It's his job.
Yeah.
And you used to work there, so
not
you know that I'm going to ask you to do
that. He didn't cut off his ear or get a permanent tattoo. He cut his hair. Hair grows back.
Exactly.
I'm like, are you
kidding?
Wait
a little bit, honey. Let me keep this look for a few months, and I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Like, see, for example, when Taker cut his hair, I don't think Michelle McCool was all pissed off.
Yeah.
When he was all he was all bald and everything.
Yep.
He did that for a few years. And if she's pissed, hey, you know what? Hey, this is my job. You know what I do. Mm-hmm. So I just don't get it. Like, why would she be mad? But hey, when
I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I was like, looking at it, is this a joke? Like, this can't be real. Like, this. I mean, obviously, it was like a bullshit news thing. Like, it was real, but it was like, who cares? But I just wanted to say something because I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, I don't understand. I really don't. I don't find any sense on this. But hey, that's who he's with, and probably
that's what I mean. If he's happy, whatever. But I wouldn't.
As long as if he's happy, I guess. So are we for Daniel Bryan. So
but But back to the show. Like I said, it did nothing for me for Royal Rumble build. This Firefly Funhouse, like in the beginning when he was screwing around, he had the printer jammed. I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. It's not just like he comes out to the ring for a normal contract signing. It was a little funny and it was different. But you could have like I said, you could have made it so much better. You could have had maybe Bryan go to the Funhouse instead to sign the contract, or there's all these different things you could have did. Instead, they just did what we knew they were going to do. The Fiend was going to come out. He was going to attack Bryan. At least, did he put him through the table? I don't even. Yeah, I don't think he did.
No.
But it's like at least he didn't do that. Because they always have to break the table. Put fucking Michael Cole through the table. He's so cringy on commentary. I can't stand it. Same with Corey Graves. Corey Graves sounds like he's reading from a script. He sounds so lifeless. He's like,
oh, and for example, now that you mentioned that,
Morrison is yeah. Like there's no excitement to his voice.
For example, like why can Bryan go to the funhouse? Why can only Rollins be the one that like goes there and says the house on fire and everything? Mm-hmm. Isn't Bryan as equal as Rollins?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's just so there's like the whole show is just awful, and they did nothing to build towards the Royal Rumble. I'm still excited. They can't take my excitement away from it unless they would tell me right now that Roman Reigns is going to win.
Well, yeah, I was going to say like there's an easy way to take that out like this.
That or like Cain Velasquez. That's the only way that you can be. I mean, there's plenty of guys, but those are just some of them.
Not like it would be like absolutely bad. Yeah, and I agree with you, John.
But I mean, like. And the same thing with Raw. Like, it did barely anything to build hype. The only thing from these two shows was, like, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Where Drew McIntyre's like, my Claymore kick, it doesn't come out of nowhere. You're going to see it coming as I kick off your damn head and win the Royal Rumble. Like, that's legit.
And hopefully he wins. When Drew wins, it will be something really legit. And we're really rooting for Drew because he deserves a main event spot. The guy looks like, he's phenomenal. And now that, like, he has a personality, I think he's getting a lot of fans now. Mm-hmm. So this is the chance. This is when you pull the trigger. This is when you strike when the iron is hot. We've said that phrase so many times, but it's very applicable to this situation. So.
Yeah, but and where was this on SmackDown? You had there was a promo from Sheamus, and he was like, oh yeah, Shorty Gable, I'm gonna exterminate you, blah blah blah. This and it's like, but we've been hearing that same shit for the past how many weeks? And it's like, what are you going to do?
Weeks.
What, you're going to fight him on the pre-show that, like, a couple 100,000 people watch, but nobody's going to give a shit about? Yeah. Like that's what I mean. Why?
And done.
Yeah. Why couldn't it just, like I said, I said it in the previews and predictions for the Royal Rumble. Check it out. Like, why isn't this match, like, taking place in the Rumble? These guys should meet up in the Rumble. They shouldn't have their own singles match because who cares? The pay-per-view is going to be long enough. We don't need to see this.
That's what I mean.
So they did nothing for me tonight to excite me for the Rumble. The highlight of it was Morrison and Kofi.
Morrison and Kofi was the best thing. And, hopefully the Rumble is as exciting as we hope it can be. Hopefully the road of WrestleMania starts on a good note, on the right foot, with the right track. We're going to be there reviewing it. We're going to be taking care about all the notes that happens, all news, rumors, everything that happens before and after. So we're going to do that. But guys, remember to subscribe, hit that button, and also hit the bell for notifications. We have lots of content. I already mentioned we have previews and predictions for you guys. If you want to see our thoughts about the Royal Rumble, it's just
and we know you do.
So an hour of pure Royal Rumble information. Tomorrow we'll be back with like NWA and also Worlds Collide. So we have a lot more content coming from you. And just follow us Facebook, Instagram, and also like Twitter, and of course right here in the channel. So guys, I hope all of you have a great evening, and in the name of Jean Paul and myself, we both would like to say